We're watching Soulful Discussions.
All right, so hi, how you doing?
Hi.
All right. So first of all, I approached you just a few minutes ago, and the first thing you said to me is, I know you because you interviewed my sister. Absolutely. So your sister was on the channel before. Here I am running into you. Don't even know who you are, and nothing like that. Just approached you. First of all, what was your thoughts? You said your sister talked to you a little bit about the experience she had with me. What were your thoughts about after she told you about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a while ago, so
Yeah.
I remember I was like, that's so weird. Like, who is talking about feet? Just because I like my feet, but I
Yeah.
don't really like other people's feet. And I don't know, I just like have this weird thing with feet.
I feel like your sister said the same thing. I feel like she said she likes her feet, but I don't like other people's feet. I'm not sure, but I could have sworn I heard her say that.
You know what? We're very in sync.
Yeah.
So, you know, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I think it was just like for her, it was a big impact just because she's had different issues with just like the way her feet are shaped, and especially like as she was starting to get into fitness and running, it was like really hard for her to like feel comfortable with running
and
like
right shoe
and all of that. Well, with me, it was just like I've been a runner my whole life, so it was like I just already know what works for me. So I was really curious just to like hear her own journey with just like how she connects with her feet.
Absolutely,
you know.
Absolutely, that was really dope. So real quick, I approached you about an interview today. Do you remember what we're going to talk about? You know we're talking about feet.
We're talking about feet.
But what else? Do you know anything else?
I mean, I have no idea.
We're going to talk about mental health.
Okay.
And also reflexology.
Oh, beautiful.
Cool.
Beautiful things I connect with already.
I love it. So let me ask you this. First thing you hear when you think about feet, what do you think about? First thing.
Sacredness. You know, it's the way that I connect with Mother Earth, you know. So I am a intuitive Reiki master. So like I work a lot with Mother Earth. I actually just did a meditation at that tree 2 days ago, a guided meditation, and I realized like how important it is for me to connect with the earth and be able to really like shift the energy within my being. So being able to release things through my feet and bring it back in. So like, you know, this beautiful cycle of energy that we all have the power to connect with.
Absolutely.
And it is by grounding ourselves through our feet. So
Absolutely.
Sacredness is the first thought.
Okay, cool. We're going to ask a couple questions. It'll be your thoughts about feet. You just feel free to answer however you like.
Okay.
What about mental health? You hear that? What do you think about it?
Healing. Yeah, so I am a big advocate of taking care of your mental health. That's actually how I started my own healing journey, was having a psychotherapist. And even in that space, like I started to realize like you have to interview your therapist. Like you can't just
take anybody.
You know, because I mean, the first therapist I had, I was looking more for a Latinx woman who could resonate with me. But at the time, I was also coming out, and she wasn't really open to the queerness of me.
I see.
And so there was really like, yeah, we don't need to talk about that. And I was just like, yeah, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like, that's where she was. But I realized, like, for me, it's like I need to find someone that speaks to me and, like, gives me what I need. And so there'd be moments where, like, I'd be working with the therapist for a couple months or, like, years. And then I'm like, okay, our journey has come to an end, and I could feel it in my being. And so it's like really being in tune with yourself.
Absolutely.
To understand like this person no longer serves me. So I said like, I got really good at breaking up with my therapist because I was just like, I realized like I'm investing in myself 100%. And like I'm paying you for a service. And that doesn't mean you're not great at it, but it's just finding something else. Yeah. So I've worked with a lot of different therapists, and I'm a big advocate as starting your healing journey to have someone support you in that. Absolutely. Because even myself as a healer, like I still have healers that I invest in, you know, people that support me with my mental health, with my physical health, with my spiritual health, to be able to have this balance of life, you know. So mental health is extremely important.
That's dope. Well, today we're going to ask some questions about like dealing with stress, anxiety. It could be, I want to hear what your thoughts are from your journey. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about what kind of I've learned since I started this.
Okay.
And we'll kind of meet somewhere in the middle.
Okay, beautiful.
And then reflexology, you said those are all things I love. What do you think about when you hear reflexology?
My dad.
Okay.
So, growing up, we grew in a very holistic family. So I was really sick as a kid. So I had asthma, so I was hospitalized a lot. And, I was really connected to Western medicine. It was just getting me worse. I was just worse. And my parents were like, we had to find something else. So we started to connect to like herbs and actually Chinese medicine. So we actually connected with this acupuncture doctor.
Yeah.
She studied in China and she started her own practice out here. And my dad started to like be an apprentice and learn from her. And so we got connected to reflexology at a very young age.
Yeah.
And, you know, my dad taught me like how to do it also in your hands, because in your hands and your ears and your feet.
Yep.
And so, you know, I had to like get comfortable with people touching my feet, you know, at a young age. And even though it was like uncomfortable, I was like, okay, like I know if there's a pain, it's because there's something going on.
Yep.
And so like being more aware of like we can heal ourselves by just being aware of like what is our body trying to tell us, because a lot of what manifests in our body as dis-ease is actually energetic blocks that we have within our being of like past traumas, which also connects to mental health. Like
100%.
It's being able to understand like how do I let go of this energy block so that it doesn't manifest as something harmful in the body.
Absolutely. Hey, you pretty much said it all right because yeah, I gave your sister a lot of information about that, but I can see that you're well informed. We'll talk a little bit about it, but I do want to just like kind of we'll go through the whole full thing.
Yeah.
We'll get your thoughts. But let's start with the first question, okay?
Okay.
How do you think we can improve like mental health awareness throughout the world? What is something you think like we could easily do like to just improve it?
Yeah, be kind.
Yeah.
You know, smile at people. Like just say hello. I think that's something so simple that like we forget to like really see each other. And like I realize like even in moments where I feel unsafe, I instead of like going into the fear, I like see the person and I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Because I don't think anyone is really here to like harm each other. We're just going through a lot of shit and we don't know how to process it. And so we end up projecting that to other people and end up causing harm. So like when we start taking care of ourselves, like we can actually do that simple thing of just like, hey, how are you doing? Right?
Absolutely.
Like I talk to strangers all the time. So you coming up to me was nothing out of the ordinary for me.
Happens every day.
You know, it's just like, I talk to people every day. Like literally yesterday, I met a photographer right there and I was just like, yo, like, how you doing? You look like you need someone to talk to. And my spirit is like really guiding me to connect with people. And so I realized that just by me being kind, like, oh, that person looks like they need help. Let me help them, or let me like, you know, I'm putting my cart back. Let me get the cart. And like, you know, like you literally shift someone's energy by doing something so kind that allows them to kind of diffuse and like actually be like, oh yeah, I can smile today. Oh yeah, like life isn't that bad. And remembering the abundance that's all around us, like even here, like all of this is abundance. And 100%. We just be like, oh, I just need to go to work. I need to do this. I need to do that. And we forget the simple shit in life.
That's so true. That's so true. Thank you so much for that. Fill in the blank on this question.
Okay.
The world would be better if
we all smiled.
And I think you have a very, I would say, photogenic, but also I feel like it's something that like other people will pick up on it. They get that energy from you just by seeing you smile. Because like that was the thing that kind of led me to walking up to you, because like I looked in your direction and you looked up and you smiled and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go observatory, right? Because I'm a big advocate of like approaching people who seem approachable, right? If somebody has their head down and like they seem like they're just trying to ignore me, I don't bother. But absolutely, I thought that was really dope.
And I just like want to add with that too, like I'm not always in this happy-go-lucky state. Like I was like, let me pause. I was like, my voice is important. I'm reminding myself how my voice is important, and you know, don't let other things overshadow it.
Can't have it.
But yeah, like, you know, we all like go through these emotional roller coasters, and so sometimes I am in the space where I was like, yo, I don't want to talk to nobody. I'm gonna put my headphones in and I'm just gonna look down because I feel like I'm not in the capacity to actually have a conversation with someone. And so it's really like taking the time to listen to yourself and be like, today I can be in this space and tomorrow maybe I can't, and that's okay too, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you said that, because like I've always felt like since I've started this, I always meet the people I'm supposed to meet when I'm supposed to meet them, right? And it was interesting because I was just down there. I started at the bottom and I was walking my way through and I approached two ladies and they were like, no, we're really not feeling it today. Like we're kind of just like, you know, here for like mental health reasons. And so I told them about my channel. Gave them like, you know, the channel and everything, and then just kind of, you know, have a great day. Kept pushing. Met another lady right after that, same thing. She was like, I'm here for self-care, you know, I'm not feeling it, you know, it's all good. gave her my YouTube channel, kept pushing. Had I interviewed one of them, probably would have missed you because it looked like you were getting ready to leave, right? So to me, it's like everything happens for a reason, and it kind of just led me back up here. And then who would have known, like, you're related to somebody who's already
yeah,
it's just crazy how the world is. So always like an intrigued to see like how things play out for me, but yeah, I definitely thought that was dope.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I truly believe in divine timing, and like, so I actually have no social media, and so even as like I'm, you know, putting myself more out there with my business, like people are just like, well, you need a social media, like how are you gonna get clients? And I was like, spirit. Like, spirit guides me to the people I'm meant to work with, and I'm going to trust that because we are spiritual beings first, but we forget that. And we, you know, get caught up in the chaos and the matrix of life, and that's okay. But it's like, how do we, like, slowly unlearn that and come back home to ourselves? And then be like, okay, I trust, I'm surrendering to spirit is going to bring me to the things. Like, you know, we're constantly, like, calling things in, but we're not patient enough to wait for them.
Absolutely.
So it's like, because you were patient, we were able to connect.
Absolutely. It's always great, man. I always love to see that. Next question. If a friend or loved one was like struggling with like depression, anxiety, stress, is there anything you would say or do with them to like kind of help them get through that point?
Yes. So I actually do this a lot with my family and friends. And just because I'm an energy worker and I can really sense, like people don't even have to say anything, like even through a text message, I was like, oh, like you're feeling it. Or my intuition will be like someone, you know, you need to call them. And so I guide people through breath, you know, like really just taking a moment to slow down and like breathing into the body, and like just something as simple as breathing can shift our whole entire life. Yeah. Like our breath is our medicine to come back home to ourselves. And so like being able to be like, all right, let's take a deep breath in and release. And like doing that a couple times, and then just like having them like close their eyes wherever they're at, like just really be present within their body to like recenter ourselves, because I dealt with depression my whole life. And like I'm also in fear of going back into depression sometimes, like because that shit's real, and like, you know, they're still happening.
It's invisible to others because they'll look at you and be like, oh, looking perfectly fine. It's like, I'm struggling here, man. Like I'm really dealing with some major stuff, right? Absolutely. So I definitely get it. And I love what you said about the breath, right? That's how I met your sister. Literally come up the stairs, we're both out of breath, and I'm like, just take a deep breath in and then let it out, and we literally started a conversation through that. So once again, that divine timing, right?
Divine timing. It's so healing. And you know, the interesting thing is that we're actually not really taught how to breathe. Exactly. Right? So when you breathe, you have to breathe in from your diaphragm. It's like you're making your belly big, like you ate a lot today. But a lot of times we're so taught to like suck it in. So like you're breathing wrong, actually.
It's like shallow.
Yeah, but it's like when you do that, you're actually allowing your diaphragm to push into your lungs, which allows you to actually clear out any stagnation of breath or energy in the lungs. So it comes through, and then like when you release, it's like when you suck it in. Right? And so it's like being in this like mindful breath, because sometimes I go back to the old way, especially when I'm moving too fast. I'm like, okay, Hazel, slow down.
Slow it down.
And just take a deep breath in and come back to yourself. Right? And it actually goes back to the feet. Like, I'm like, feel your feet on the ground. Because when you feel your feet on the ground, you ground yourself. So it doesn't feel so like I still can't connect to my being. Because we get disconnected from our body when we're in anxiety or stress or overthinking. Like, we're not even here no more. We're like in here, and like the mind will tell you all the things, right? So it's like
keep it going.
slowing down. Slowing down is the answer.
Absolutely. So with this next question, you don't have to go too in depth. Maybe more of a surface level answer.
Okay.
What are some things that bring you anxiety? And like when you feel like you're experiencing anxiety, do you have anything you do to like counter how you feel, and like do you do anything in particular?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely think, I mean, sometimes my family, you know, a lot of family problems going on, that definitely brings me anxiety. Even just being an entrepreneur, like, you know, like,
what's next?
You know, like I left my job, and like, can I really do this, you know? And so, and even just like certain things within the business aspect of like what I got to do. But I remind myself like to talk to my community. Like, honestly, that is one of the tools that we don't utilize a lot, because like I realize like in the Latinx culture, we teach ourselves to like, you don't tell nobody your problems. Like, you got to figure it out on your own. My mama would always say that to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Why? Like, you know, and now I realize it's like actually asking for support. But even in that space, like going a little further and asking our friends, can you hold space for me first?
I love that.
Because I used to trauma dump. I used to be like, call my best friend and be like, all this shit is happening. And I wasn't even mindful if he was in the headspace to hold space for me.
Yeah. Like, what's happening?
You know, so it is this like slowing down of like, hey, do you have the capacity? And if you don't, it's okay because you have other people in your life. So it is tapping into your people, because sometimes like when you can't see, other people can see for you.
I love that. I love that. If there was one thing you could change about yourself, and it doesn't have to be something physical, but just in general, maybe it's a behavior. Is there anything you would change? Like somebody's giving you the power to change something. Would you change anything?
That's a good question. What would I change? I mean, I feel like I'm changing every day. And like right now, actually, the power to remind myself I'm capable of doing anything. Because, I mean, even just something as simple as waking up early. Like, I don't like waking up early.
Yeah. It's like sometimes you have to.
Yeah. Right? And I just, like, today, you know, like, I'm starting my mornings even earlier. So I was able to go to yoga at 7, which allowed me to actually feel full and be present here to meditate. And I know a lot of people start around 9 or 10. Yeah. So I was doing that for a while. And I'm like, I feel like I have more time now because I'm filling myself up earlier. And so it's like reminding myself, like, I can wake up early. I can do it. It's not that hard. I just need to push myself.
You're going to feel a little bit of that, like, uncomfortableness because, like, I'm up this early. And it's like, but eventually, like, once you start to get going, you're like, nah, it's all good. Like, like, I
can do this. Oh, I'm up now. It was just like, okay, Hazel, get out of bed. Come on, you can do it.
It feels so good sometimes. You're just like, man, this spot, I'm in right now. It's nice and warm and don't want to get up, but it's like you just have to. You have to get started. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really dope. All right, so let's get into these questions. I want you to like fill in the blank on this first question.
Okay.
When I think about my feet, I feel. How do you feel?
I feel love.
You feel love. I love it. And I think because you said the first thing you think about with reflexology is your dad. Mm-hmm. So your experiences have been like with things that are really close to you. You mentioned grounding and those things being like a very important thing. Hold on.
Bless you. Bless you.
Oh, excuse me. So I can see where you're going with that, but do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think like I shared earlier, at first I was like really uncomfortable with other people's feet. And I love my feet. Like I really take time to take care of my feet. You know, like I get a pedicure at least every 2 weeks, and that's just like my self-care. Yeah. And in that space, I realized like my feet hold me down. Like, you know, they are everything for me, so I got to love them. Absolutely. And I got to love every part of my body, but your feet is the first thing you need to start with.
Absolutely. Follow-up question. Have you ever received compliments about your feet? Has anybody ever said to you, I think you have nice feet?
Yeah, I get it all the time, but it makes me uncomfortable.
That was my next question. How do you feel when you get that compliment? So it makes you uncomfortable. Why does it make you uncomfortable? Is it because it's not a common compliment? Is it because maybe the context that some people use with it? What happens?
I mean, I feel like, it depends. Like, you know, I've had some people that have just said it in a more like sexual way. And I'm just like, yeah, this is weird, bro. Like,
so that context just changed, right?
It just shifts, right? And I could feel energy, so I could feel like, you don't have to say like I'm doing this in a sexy way, but I could feel it. And so, but then other people, like my boo right now, he's like, oh, I love your feet. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. But it's like this, okay, just also this receiving love that I'm getting comfortable with too, because I'm so good at giving. That I have to be okay with just like, Hazel, just sit here and receive. It's okay. Someone wants to love you. And so like someone just like admiring you is everything. But you know, it's like me getting more comfortable within my skin, you know?
Absolutely. In terms of compliments you receive from men and women, is there a certain group you prefer it more from?
I mean, both, because I'm queer, you know? So
I get some people, let me explain. I get some people who are like, they would prefer to receive compliments from women because they feel as though it doesn't come across as creepy. Like a lot of times women are like complimenting what they see and they're like being honest about it, whereas men sometimes can be like, I'm just gonna compliment you because I'm trying to get something out of you, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if those have been your experiences. Maybe you've experienced something different, but for you, you're like it's the same no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was in that space for a very long
Yeah.
time, and I think especially like as I've gone deeper into my own healing journey and really like embrace the essence of who I am,
Yeah.
like I recognize my light really radiates. So like people like are attracted to my energy, right?
Yeah,
and so people will say things, and now when someone compliments me, I just smile at them and say thank you, regardless of how your context is, right? Because you're really just admiring me, but it's also a reminder like you're seeing me because I'm a reflection of you.
Absolutely. That's really dope. I like that. I like how you just said that. In terms of compliments you receive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a certain compliment that when somebody gives you that compliment, you're like, man, that makes my day. That really made me feel good.
Yeah, when they compliment my smile and my hair.
Yeah.
My hair is everything.
Yeah, I mean, and I love the curliness there, but like I told you, that smile to me is like very infectious. Like I feel like I said, it's something that allows people to know like, okay, she's somebody who's approachable and I can talk to her. And I think it's like a welcoming type of feeling that you get from that. I thought it was really dope that like when I saw you, like I said, that's the first thing I saw.
Oh, well, beautiful.
In terms of pedicures, you kind of said you get pedicures every 2 weeks.
Yeah, every 2 to 3 weeks I go.
Gel?
No, just regular.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, the gel is also very damaging to the toes.
Okay.
Honestly, I actually don't get my nails done, and this is like
it's like one in a
this is a 1 in a million. I used to get my nails done faithfully, like every 2 weeks, but after the pandemic, I just kind of like really disconnected from it. But I love getting my feet done just because I love to just be there and someone love on me, and so like I just get like regular nail polish because I go every 2 weeks, so it just like I don't need it to stay on forever.
Yeah.
But even the regular just stays, like it doesn't be chipping or anything for me. So like it brings me joy, and also like I do all the extra, like give me a scrub, give me a massage, like
hook it up.
Hook it up. Like I'm here, I'm investing in myself, and you know I'm worth the investment.
I love that. Have you ever heard of a medical pedicure? Is that familiar to you?
No, I haven't.
All right, so that's when you go see a podiatrist, specialist of the foot.
Okay.
Basically, what they do is they take a look at your like toenails, make sure your toenails grow correctly. Right? Check your toe alignment, make sure your toe alignment is straight. They'll basically like take a look at your feet for like dead skin, fungus. Do all the work there with like medical grade equipment. It's basically like the cleanest possible like pedicure you can get. It's not like a cosmetic one.
Yeah.
They do like a clear coat to like just make them look nice and shiny.
Yeah.
But what would your thoughts be on seeing somebody like that who could give you like insight into your feet, like tell you like what's happening, like if there's anything happening, would you be open to that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, because it just sounds like it's really connected to Western medicine, and
Got
I'm
it.
very disconnected to Western medicine. I feel like there are people that do need support with their feet, and I totally respect that. And like, yes, definitely go to that. And especially like I think athletes, like I used to be an athlete, and like athlete's foot is a really big thing. And so like I understand like how important it is to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. But a lot of that is coming from like the way you eat, the way you take care of yourself. You know, exactly, all those things.
Right?
But I also feel like the best way to connect to your feet and healing your feet is connecting to the earth. Like, you know, walking on the grass or going to the sand in the ocean. Like, literally, I will do scrubs where I will literally get the wet sand and just scrub the bottom of my feet. And, like, that is actually healing, you know? I mean, it's literally like a scrub that you can make at home, but it's
exfoliating.
yeah, but you're doing it here with the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's exfoliating, and I always tell people that when I'm, you know, get to this portion of everything, like when we're talking and I ask about how often you go barefoot, and people are like, never. And I was like, you go to the beach, you don't like go and like put your feet in the sand. And I've had people who said, no, I'll wear shoes, and I'm like, killing yourself. You don't even realize it, but yeah, that's definitely dope. No, I get what you're saying though, like, and I think it's because you grew up like with like really having some beneficial experiences from like those Eastern medicines, and like those are things that help you out. So you're like, hey man, I'm gonna trust in that, and that's what you're gonna like kind of try to get other people to try to see that light there, and that's what I try to do with reflexology, try to get them to see that.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, like shout out to my dad because he really he was open and he was really integrating a lot of what he was learning, and like my parents are both from Nicaragua, which is in Central America. And so, like, we would go to Central America a lot as kids. And we would, like, being in the ocean was, like, our favorite thing to do. And, like, he would always tell me, like, you can grab the sand and really exfoliate your whole body, you know? And, like, even the face. And, you know, sometimes it would be so funny because he would just, like, leave it on his face for hella long. And I'm like, you're so embarrassing. And as a little kid, I was just like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
But then I was like, I understand the benefit of it, you know, because like you said, like when we don't walk barefoot, we are super disconnected from source, from Mother Earth, which is what gives us energy. And like, I actually have a lot of friends that are very similar, like, I don't want to get dirty. And I'm like, I get it. I used to be like that too. My mom goes camping and she's like, don't put my stuff on the floor. I don't want it to get dirty. And I'm like, Mom, we're in the dirt. Like, it's gonna be dirty.
Just clean it.
It's okay. We can go like this, you know? And so I realized I had internalized that too, like this idea of perfection and making sure I'm good all the time. And like, you know, my feet are going to get dirty. I don't want them to get dirty. But now I'm just like, no, this is me integrating with the universe and being in the ocean. So like, I always challenge my friends, like, yo, just take off your shoes. Like, you'll be okay. No one's going to hurt you.
Man, nothing's going to happen. Absolutely. How often do you wear open-toe shoes, sandals and flip-flops?
Well, during the summer, very often, but you know, I don't like my feet being cold. So, I mean, when it's cold, I'm wearing socks. Even with my slides, I wear socks.
Yeah, you were, when I walked in, you were wearing
socks. You know, it's so interesting because I don't know, it's like a weird thing, but I really hate wearing slides with no socks. I just feel like it looks weird. Like, I want to actually wear sandals, like something cute.
Yeah.
So it's not very often.
I see what you mean. You're like, if I'm going to wear that, just the slides, I'm going to put like some socks on.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be cute and you want to show your toes off,
wear
some sandals.
For sure. Because I get my toes done. So, you know, I mean, if I could, I wouldn't wear shoes, but you know, everything's really dirty. And
100%.
I feel like being in the grass, like Mother Earth is constantly recycling the energy. Yeah. So like, you know, you'll be okay, you know, but I think a lot on the concrete is also like, it's hot and uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so barefooting, I'm pretty sure you do that quite often. That's my next question. How often would you say?
I mean,
daily, are we saying?
I mean, I'm trying to incorporate that again just because it's been winter, so I haven't really done that as often. But when I can, because especially like I like to meditate outside, so I'll take off my shoes and my socks and I'll just like put my feet on the ground. It's essential.
I love giving that information. It was funny because I was talking to a young lady on Saturday and she was Christian. And I brought that up to her and I was like, hey, you know, what would you think about like earthing and grounding and the benefits of it? And she said, I would only do it if God told me to do it. And I was like, well, it's like, how do you know he didn't send me here to tell you, to give you the information today? And she's just like, nah, I like commune with him all the time and he'll tell me what. I was like,
I mean,
okay. I was like, okay, some people you can't get them to see that. So it's always interesting when we get to that point. Absolutely. All right, so now in this moment right now, could we see what your feet look like?
Sure.
Cool. Let me have you, if you can, let's lay them down flat here so we can just see the tops.
Okay.
All right. And so, first of all, what size do you wear?
7.5, 8, or 9. It depends on the kind of shoe.
Well, those are 3 different sizes. You said 7.5, 8, or 9.
Yeah, so like if I'm wearing heels, sometimes it's 8.5 or 9. But then like tennis shoes could be a 7.5 or 8. I mean, it's just like every shoe is built so differently.
Yeah, it's like you really don't get no help there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I can see, so I don't know if you know about the different toe alignments. Have you heard about them before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so there's different toe alignments. Based on the way your toes are, you have what's called the Egyptian toe alignment. It's when the bigger toe is like longer than all the rest.
Okay.
So your toes kind of go in this like order where they kind of go down. If the second toe was a little bit longer, that was called the Grecian toe alignment. It's called a Greek toe.
Okay.
So a lot of people who are from like Greece tend to have that type of a toe alignment.
Okay.
So, all right, let me get you to put your feet out straight, like so we can see the bottoms. Just do this.
Oh, I was like, they're all dirty from the grass. I was like,
well, you were grounded, and that's okay. We're not worried about that. We don't judge or anything like that. All right, cool. So let me ask you, and I would say your feet are more on the slender side, right? They're like more like narrow as opposed to being wide.
Yes.
Right? Absolutely. So let me ask you this. In terms of this, we've been talking for a little bit now, actually for 29 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
What are your thoughts so far about the interview and everything?
Are you
Leave
done?
your feet out.
Okay.
We're going to go through a couple words.
Okay. I'm sorry, what was the question again?
What are your thoughts so far about the interview? Like, how are you feeling?
I mean, I feel great. I feel like you're a great vibe and you're good to talk to. So I feel like we could be talking about anything and it would just be great.
I love that. Thank you so much. Let me talk to you like about the mental health, what got me started on my channel. And hopefully everything will start to connect or whatever like that.
Okay.
So during quarantine, I was watching another guy's channel. He was talking about exposure therapy. You familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
Okay, so exposure therapy is for people who feel uncomfortable in a certain situation or scenario. Like, let's say, like, you might have a phobia, right? Where you're like, all right, I'm never doing that, right? But let's say you're somebody who wants to, like, I want to get out of feeling like that. I want to be able to, like, just be open to experiences, go out there, and whatever's in front of me, just, like, face it and go through with it, right? Let's say it's, like, approaching strangers. Like, you're, like, afraid to do that. Like, I'm not ever going to approach strangers because, like, I'm afraid of what they're going to say to me, right?
Yeah.
Therapists tell you, go out and approach strangers. Do it over and over and over again. Basically, the mentality is the more you do it, like, you'll start to, like, understand what you're feeling in the moment. Like, oh, okay, what I'm feeling is basically the fact that, like, I don't know how it's going to go. So I feel anxiety because of that. So, like, all I need to do is, like, I know I'm going to feel that in the opening, but, like, I'll eventually get over it, right? So when I heard that, I'm like, I'm a chronic overthinker. I'm like, every situation you can, like, possibly put in front of me, I'll be like, but I got to weigh it to see if it's good. Like, should I do this? Should I do that? And a lot of times before I knew it, like, the situation had already, like, passed me by. It was too late. So I was like, I want to get better at making snap decisions. So I was like, I started to, like, you know, apply some of that to my life. Just like, hey, man, just go with it. Let's see what happens. So I had the idea because during quarantine, a lot of women were, like, getting into foot modeling. That was a thing, right?
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, during quarantine, a lot of women were getting into that. So I was like, what if I took exposure therapy, right? Approach women, see if they can be open, like, we're having a discussion, all this stuff, and then I approach with that to say, like, can you still be open to, like, showing, like, what your feet look like? Do they get uncomfortable? Do they get to the point where they're like, oh, man, like, I don't know what happened, what's going on here? Or are they just kind of, like, comfortable and just continue to go along with the interview? The whole point of my channel is to show the different reactions I get so that people can learn to, like, have a positive, like, outlook on, like, what feet hold, right? So we talk about these different things, reflexology, all this different stuff, to see can we, like, continue to be comfortable with those conversations and things like that.
Yeah.
So my channel's all about showing the different reactions I get. I get some women completely open, like yourself, your sister, like, where they're just like, yeah, you know, there's no worries, and some women will start to overthink and like, oh, I don't know what's happening, and some women are like, no, but I'm happy to get all those so that I can show exactly what different people think about the situation. What are your thoughts about that? How do you feel about that? What do you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's beautiful what you're doing right now, you know, because, I mean, I think a huge part of what consumes us is fear, right? And, like, I'm an overthinker as well. Oh, and so, like, I totally get what you're saying. And, I mean, even just, like, with me hosting my events again, you know, like, it's been a while since I've done it, and there was a lot of overthinking that was happening, and it was just like, Hazel, you can do it. So it's like this constant, like, pushing yourself forward. And I feel like the way I do it is very gentle with myself. So it's like, it's okay. Like, you're not doing this alone. You can, like, you know, like ask your friends to support you and, like, have conversations about it so you start to get more comfortable with it. Because it's all about, like, I really believe where the discomfort lies is where the healing happens.
Absolutely.
You know, like, we have to, like, learn how to embrace all the different parts of ourselves. And even for me, for a long time, I was, like, really insecure about my face because I broke out a lot and I wore makeup all the time. And it got to this point where I was just like, Hazel, like, you are beautiful just the way you are, and it's okay. Like, I had to unlearn that from society, but it was just like this understanding of, like, I like to say I do spiritual activism because you have to understand how society has created us into, like, these little robots, right? And it's hard to think outside the box, but when you start to actually go deeper into your understanding of self, like, the discomfort and, like, the things that you do start to become comfortable. Absolutely. You know, and, like, it allows you to grow and actually enjoy life.
And that's how it is for me. So when I told you I approached two ladies earlier. One of the things I said to them, I was letting them know, because in the past for me, rejection, any stage. It could be approaching a woman to talk to her. It could be a job. It could be whatever it is. When I would get rejected, I would, like, take it personal. Like, oh, well, like, they're rejecting me because of what did I do wrong and, like, all this. Whereas to now, like, if I get rejected, somebody says no to me, I'm just like, okay, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I keep it pushing. And so I feel like I've, like, developed, like, another layer to, like, who I am because of that. And I was like, so that's why I enjoy, like, going out and doing these interviews, because I never know what I'm going to get. I meet different people from different outlooks of life and stuff like that. I've networked with some people who I've like gained friends for life, and it's always really dope to like go out and get those experiences. Absolutely.
I love it. And
Absolutely.
it is scary. It is scary to get rejected because I feel like the answer to all of our problems is love. And like when we start to love ourselves, like it doesn't matter if people say no or yes to you. It's just like, it's okay. Like
it's completely
is like, that's your path. This is my path. And like, it just wasn't in divine timing, and that's okay. But if we're meant to connect, we will, you know?
Absolutely. So let's talk about reflexology real quick. You kind of gave us a lot of stuff in the beginning about it, but just for people who may be watching for the first time, reflexology is about those different pressure points you have in your hands and your feet. You even mentioned some in your ears as well. Basically, applying pressure and massaging those areas can basically relieve tension like to different parts of your body. So these areas for like your lungs, like basically for like your head, for like basically down to your feet. You can just apply pressure to all these different areas and they'll basically relieve tension. In terms of like migraines, there's a lot of people who deal with migraines and sometimes just take like pills for it. There's actually portions of your hands and feet to massage that alleviates the tension from that. So even a piercing you get in your ear does the exact same thing. What are your thoughts about that? Because you said you've had some lifetime experiences with that. How do you feel about that? What would you say to somebody about that?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to like heal yourself. And like, you know, I understand like we live in a society where it's all about quick fixes, but like we actually have to understand the long-term effect of these quick fixes where, you know, it turns into a lot of other diseases in our body. And it actually takes a long time to like, you know, fix that. And also a lot of stress, right? Like, you know, unfortunately my dad had a stroke at the beginning of the year and like,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, my dad is a very healthy person, but like he has, and he has so much stress though. Like his job is so stressful. So it doesn't matter like how much holistic medicine he's doing if he's not taking care of his mental health, right? Like it's 100%. A balance of everything. And so I realized that like, we have to like understand like how to take care of ourselves because now that he's gone through the hospital and all these things, like now there's the stress of the bills and the medicine and all the other shit. It never ends. So it's like instead like of connecting to a holistic way of healing yourself and like really taking care of yourself, we feel like these quick fixes are going to help, but in the long term, they're actually going to cause more harm in all of our life. And it's not going to allow us to fully like be here and be like, wow, I'm so grateful. Like I can just enjoy the sun today.
I mean, you know? So right. And that's, for me, a lot of people roll their eyes when I tell them, but like when I do experience, like if I'm sick or something like that, I like to like stay with like fresh, nutritious type of ways to like get over it, like fruits, vegetables, like I like to stick to that. And people are like, you're not going to take any medicine? I'm like, no, because I have no idea what type of chemicals they have in there, and I don't know the effects it's going to have on my body, because everybody's body is made up like of different chemicals. Like we may think it's all the same, but it's different. And so what may work for one person may be extremely harmful to somebody else. So because I don't know that, I'm okay. I would do it the fresh and nutritious way all the time. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I mean, and I feel like, you know, reflexology is a beautiful way of really connecting to that. And there's like a lot of practitioners, especially in Long Beach, like that are offering a lot of these services, you know, to be able to support your healing. And I like, for me, it's like 100% worth the investment. And sometimes it might feel like a lot of money in the moment, but it allows me to enjoy my life. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, like we feel like, oh, this is just too much and I can't, but my insurance can cover the hospital. But it's like, but like, do you know how depressing a hospital is? Do you know how like life sucking that shit is? Like, and that's not to say that people can't go there. And I respect the fact that there are a lot of people working in those spaces that are really trying to support people, you know, and I'm so grateful for like the people in the medical fields. And at the same time, it's like, how do we actually start to shift our own life so we don't have to end up there? Because especially like as we are exploring ourselves, like we have to think about like, what do I want my life to be like?
100%.
And so what does that mean I got to do to invest in myself in order to actually have that life? And that is like connecting to a lot of these ancient wisdoms that had literally, they taught us how to literally live a life of joy, but we just need to take the time to actually understand it.
You're right. So usually we get to reflexology, we like to talk about sensitivity.
Okay.
Right? How ticklish do you tend to be?
I am ticklish, especially on my feet.
You get pedicures? Really
Yes,
ticklish?
I was like, okay. And I just like try to breathe through it because I feel it. But it's only in certain parts of my feet.
I have a trick for you.
Okay.
That can help you out with your pedicure. Mind if we test it?
Yeah.
Cool? All right, cool.
Okay.
Let me get my tool. Maybe hold that for 1 second.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do is,
Hi, everyone.
we're going to try the right and the left foot. I want you to tell me where you feel it at the most and then which foot is most sensitive, okay?
Okay.
All right, cool. And I want you to tell me which one, because we're going to use 2 different tools. We'll use this one first.
Okay. A toothbrush.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you'll be
Something.
surprised. Now, this could be used too. Like, I ended up finding this out from somebody, but like, also as a way to massage. Because like the different vibrations that it makes, it can make like a massage thing. But we're going to test it out. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, let's start with your right one first. 1, 2, 3. Like, where do you feel this at the most?
Oh.
Right when we got to the top. That was a heck of a move. So right in here, but not so much down here.
Yeah.
That's interesting because usually most people feel it in their arches first, but you feel it at the top. Let's try here, and then tell me which one is most sensitive. So it looks like you're right. It's most sensitive, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do. While I'm doing that, I want you to wiggle your toes. You tell me if you feel it more or less. Wiggle. Less, right?
Oh my God, yeah, I don't feel it.
You know why?
No, why?
Try here. I'm going to tell you why. So basically, our brains connected to every like part of our body, right? So while I'm sitting there doing this and you're sending that message, do this, it's distracting you from what's happening. But at the same time, when you do that, you move the energy. The energy moves somewhere else. So it's not in that specific spot. So when you get your pedicures, you do that and it'll help out. So now I got one more thing because it's more similar to the,
wow,
whole,
what a trick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more similar to that whole pumice stone thing they do. So brush.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's check it out here. So we're gonna start with the right one.
Don't wiggle my toes. Just
don't wiggle.
Okay.
Because we want to get the like full effect of
Okay.
it. So 1, 2, 3. This one's a lot more, right? It's covering way more ground. All right, cool. Let's try the left.
Okay.
All right. And not so much over here. It's manageable, right?
It's manageable for sure.
Wiggle your toes while I'm doing it. Now tell me if it went down. So wiggle. Did it go down?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. So do it here. What did it go down to? Because I would imagine it was like at a 10.
Yeah, it was definitely at a 10, and I felt like it was at a 4.
It went down to a 4.
Yeah, so that's a huge difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is something I learned, man. Like I said, I'm a kinesiology major, so like learning about muscle groups, how they connect to the body and different things like that. And kinesiology, like that whole beginning of it, kinetics is basically about movement.
Yeah.
So that's something that can always be helpful for us staying in movement. So there you go. It's a helpful thing.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to get you to do a couple exercises, then I'm going to have you test out one more thing, and then we're going to let you out of here. Okay?
All right, sounds good.
Here's what I want you to do first. Bend your toes, make a fist. Tell me if you feel pain, discomfort while you're doing that. Is that easy to do? Is it hard to do?
It's easy to do.
Relax. Spread your toes. Tell me if you feel any pain or discomfort. All right?
No.
So we're able to spread a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
That's it.
I got some tricks for you. That's why we're going to do the next thing next. The last thing I want you to wiggle your toes for about 10 seconds. You tell me if you feel any pain, discomfort, cramping happening after a while. Seem pretty standard, pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Last thing I'm going to have you do. So something else that I have that can be used for massages too, and I always tell people about this one because this is something that doesn't cost that much money. Tennis ball. All right. So what I want you to do is I'm going to actually reposition myself here.
Okay.
Bend your leg. We're going to put this underneath your foot. All I want you to do is just roll your foot across it, back and forth. Do you feel like how it's feeling like it's stretching out those different muscle groups and stuff that you have at the bottom of your foot?
Yeah.
This is something that you can do to like create more flexibility in your feet, like because like I'm pretty sure you don't stretch those muscles a lot. You don't do any of those exercises we just did, right?
No, but I do a lot of yoga, so it's a lot of working with the feet.
But this is something that can help you out even more. All right. So one more thing that we're gonna try. Let me get that back. We have a golf ball. Watch how different this one feels because once you feel it against your foot, you're gonna be like, oh, that's really getting into those little small areas. So go ahead.
Okay.
And then I want you to tell me what the difference is that you feel.
Oh yeah, this is a lot more pressure.
It's getting in there, right?
So it does feel like the pressure that you would feel, like very lighter.
Very lighter.
From reflexology,
Absolutely.
but still like feels like you could go into the pressure points.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I always tell people like if you have problems with like flexibility in your feet, like because a lot of times we can experience injuries because we don't have that flexibility. So easy way to create it early in the mornings when you wake up, like roll your foot across a tennis ball or a golf ball. There you go. So let's wrap it up.
Okay.
In terms of my approach, I came up to you, I asked you to do this interview. Did you feel my approach was good? Was it bad? How'd you feel about it?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I feel like if my sister wouldn't have told me, I would have been like, this is really
You'd be like, who the
weird.
heck is this guy?
I feel like people are all doing different things, but yeah, I feel like your approach was very warm and friendly. So, definitely allowed me to just be like, yeah, let's do this.
Appreciate that. In terms of the interview, right, start to finish, did you see how everything was going along the line? Did it make sense? Did you learn anything new from the information?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just a huge reflection of my own journey, talking to you and having a conversation of just like how important it is for us to take care of our whole selves, that holistic wellness of really understanding our body, mind, and spirit, right? Because that's what you're talking about. You're talking about like our mental health, you're talking about our physical health, and all of that is connected to our spiritual health. So like when we are in alignment with our mental and our body, we actually can really truly connect to our spiritual essence, which we all are, like spiritual beings first.
Love that.
So I think what you're doing is magical. So keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate that.
And even though sometimes it might feel like, the right people aren't showing up, like it's all for a bigger purpose,
100%. I keep going no matter what.
Keep going.
Like there have been times I've told people, I get some people on my channel sometimes like, there are some people who are there just to watch your feet, right? But there are people who come to my channel for different things. Like some people want to hear about reflexology, what some people's experiences are like. Mental health, is there anything that can help me out, right? I do get some people who will complain and say, oh man, the woman didn't show her feet. And I'm like, it's not about that. Like I never created my channel to be about that. Like if you're watching it for that reason, cool, but it's not about that. But I always tell them, I'm like, hey man, you weren't out there with me like during the summer when it's like super hot. Yeah. I'm walking miles at a time and I'm like approaching like constantly because for me, like it's about really putting that into practice and constantly doing it. No matter how many rejections it is, no matter, just keep going, no matter what. So I think it's helped me out a lot. I can't tell what it's done for other people, but hopefully it's something that's helping others out as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, and if I can share a tip with you,
Sure.
Yeah, one of the practices that I've really been incorporating is like the Buddhists meditate. They do this meditation. It's a walking meditation, so it's like being very like aware and mindful of your feet when you walk. So it's like as you take a step, it's like being aware of like how your heel and like your arch and like your toes like touch the ground, and then doing the next foot. But as you're doing that, it's like connecting to your breath, so you're like being more aware and mindful of how you're doing that. And I actually just did that. I went to Joshua Tree and I went on a hike, and towards that, as we're going down this amazing trail, the Ryan Mountain, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And it was just like, oh my God, I can't wait to get down. And it got to this point where it was like, Hazel, you need to stop and just be aware of your feet. And as I did that, even my partner was like, oh my God, I can't do this right now. And I'm like, just connect to your feet. And like, he was really struggling and I was really struggling. And as soon as we shifted our perspective, the whole hike went so much smoother. And so, as you
Something as simple as that.
Yeah, just as you are exploring and doing this, especially as the weather is shifting and it's starting to get hot, allow yourself to really connect to your feet and allow that to be like your connection to moving forward.
I love that. Last thing I always ask.
Yes.
Something you can say to the channel, you can leave with them from a mental health standpoint. Maybe it's a life lesson you learned, wise words somebody share with you, just anything you can say that could be helpful.
Slow down.
So
embody the energy of the turtle. That's what I am working through right now. And it's just like, sometimes we feel like we don't have enough time. We need more time.
Yeah, it's like you're not getting more time.
But it's not about having more time. It's about how you move through that time. Absolutely. And so I realized in moments where I'm like, oh my God, I got a lot of things to do. And I'm like rushing because I know I have to do it at a certain time. Like, I stop myself and I'm like, Hazel, you have time. Slow yourself down. And I'm actually able to be more present with each thing that I do, including walking. And everything goes so much smoother. And I actually have more time. To kind of like be in this calm state. So
you don't realize it. And I love what you just said, because a lot of times, like, I can experience that, right? So sometimes I have deadlines to meet, like, I'm like, I got to be here at this time. And one of the things I've learned to do is just, hey, man, I'm going to get there when I get there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm meant to get there whatever time I get there. Like, don't focus on that. Just focus on, like, doing whatever you need to do at the time. thank you so much. This has been like an amazing experience. I would have never thought in my wildest dreams, like coming here today, I would meet somebody's sister who's on the channel. But it's been awesome. Send our regards to Aleska for us. We appreciate you both so much. And we hope you have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right.